Hello, beautiful human. I am Zach. That is Dan. Welcome to the studio. Illenium.
Thanks for having me. Thanks, yo. Appreciate it.
Dude, it's so funny. We had headphone problems because we always have some sort of problems.
That's how it goes.
In the studio. And you were like, oh, I may have my own headphones. There is something, though, to the life of a DJ where you kind of always need to be prepared a little bit, right?
I mean, so many like Vegas shows, you know, you just are always, yeah, and it never hurts to be prepared, but I'm not prepared today. So I get an F in my DJ grade today.
How does it work for you? Like when you're doing a set, like will you create something for that set, maybe up to the wire, or like how do you, is each set a little bit different even if you're doing a Vegas show?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. I mean, right now, because this album is so rock oriented, I've been doing live band rehearsals and doing like guitar playing, so I'm not on DJ game right now. But in terms of like a Vegas show, there's somewhat of a formula that I like kind of have in my head, but yeah, I can kind of go wherever I want. Like I just have a big playlist and it's very organized. All my record box files and stuff. That's key in my opinion.
Is there something to your first EP being called Illenium and this album, your fifth?
We don't talk about that first EP. That is that.
I know it doesn't exist anywhere really on the internet.
I tried to scrub that from the face of the earth.
Yeah, but some guy uploaded it to Reddit.
Oh no, dude! Why? So bad.
It's on YouTube.
It's so bad.
One song exists though, right? There, you let one.
That was I didn't intentionally. I tried to wipe all. I mean, it just. In my opinion, I mean, as a producer, you suck for a while.
True.
And you think you show your friends, and they're like, "Oh, this is cool. This is cool," and it gives you like the self-confidence. But when you actually like become decent or like have a better ear, you look back, and at least for me, I like hate so much of my earlier stuff.
Which and by the way, like I think it's like
I think
that
that's everyone.
Yeah, yes, yeah. And it's in like that in any profession where you choose to put something out publicly.
Yeah,
our first interviews are pretty embarrassing.
Oh my god, like yeah,
you just don't know how to. Yeah, it's like there's so much learning that has to take place. Like all of the mixing, but also like the musicality of it. It's like all power chords. The bass note, I didn't know like what a root note was. So the sub is like on the wrong notes. Like the whole, it's just awful. I hate it.
Well, why? Name this new body of work the same as...
This is, I mean, I kind of like honestly feel like I successfully scrubbed that first like EP that was titled Illenium because it was from so long ago. I'd say 99.9% of my fans don't even know about it. So this, in my opinion, this album is actually like truly authentic to what I love and what the music that I grew up on and that I'm inspired by now and that emotionally impacts me now. I feel like that's why it's a self-titled album. And my favorite bands, you know, their self-titled albums are always my favorite, and I just feel like, you know, it's something I wanted to visit.
By the way, the album is absolutely extraordinary.
Oh, thank you.
And it taps into alternative rock and live instruments in a way that I think is necessary to keep the format alive. Yeah,
I mean, it's very all over the place, the album. I mean, that's the kind of stuff, you know, a little bit of metalcore, a little bit of pop punk, a little EDM, you know, it has kind of everything because that's what I like doing. And I like, you know, how it tells a story and goes up and down and it goes all over the place.
Do you set a goal for this album before you start making it?
I mean, I think for this, I was at a point right before I started it where I was just a little bit sick of like the very synth heavy, you know, heavy sidechain, big like melodic dubstep sound, and I just feel like so many people, at least in the space that I pay attention to, were doing that, and it just became very repetitive and I, you know, have always had a rock influence in my music a little bit, but I just feel like I was able to go to Travis Barker's studio and like jam with him and do a session and like create just a rock song and taking that home and like just messing with that and being able to like, you know, when you make a beat that's fully electronic, it's like it doesn't have those bones, you know what I mean? Whereas being able to make and just jam on a rock kind of vibe and then turn that into more of my world was just a new, refreshing and very me sounding thing, I think.
Like, what is that process like? Like, where do you even begin? Does it start with live instruments that you then kind of do your own thing to?
I'd say 90% of these songs started as bassist rock songs, and some of the songs stayed in that world. Like the Avril song is a rock song. You know, that song to me shouldn't be changed and forced into an electronic world just because it's an electronic song. I think, you know, being in that room and jamming, and yeah, it's like they all start like that. And I had a bunch of, you know, like what the hell moments, because I'm there sitting like jamming with Travis, and he's like an idol, and I'm just like, I suck at guitar. This is rough. But yeah, it was just, I mean, it was fun. It was new. And I feel like it was just really refreshing for my whole process.
What do you bring to that session or that room that like nobody else can?
I mean, I always come with like something, and like a little guitar riff that I record the night before. Like I love just sitting down and making intros, whether it, and a lot of it kind of leans a little more symphonic, simple. Sometimes it's like an electronic, like in the Avril song, the first little synth patch I had, that's what we wrote the whole song to. Like it's kind of like just I try to have something that is memorable right off the start that then we can build on. And so that's pretty much how every session worked. I would have like maybe 3 ideas, and we'd pick one, and then we'd go off on that, and I'd grab a guitar and we'd start writing vocals and stuff like that.
Today, how are you picking who you want on records or who you want to be in a studio with?
I mean, I'm fans of all these people. So, you know, like the Spirit Box one worked because I'm a huge Spirit Box fan, and through one of the people I love working with, his name's Andrew, he got in touch with their management and they were down to have a session. So that's another similar situation where we had a studio date set up. So the night before, I made that little intro pad with the bass, like the kind of like creepy, eerie one. And then I made like that first 30 seconds of just like guitars and rock drums. That in the first time I showed him, it was so weak. And then Mike in Spirit Box added all of his guitar tones and stuff into it, and it just like blew it up. It sounded so good.
But where do you go to find that tone? Like, where are you at? Like,
I'm just in my studio.
But mentally, where are you at?
Oh, I'm like, but mentally, I mean, I feel like I'm always just like searching for what impacts me emotionally. Like I feel like a feeling in music when you're just, especially in creating it, when you're kind of vibing out, you're searching for something and you're not really like, you don't find it. And then there's like some sort of either a guitar riff comes in, or like you fill out a drum section or a chorus section so much where it just, or you add like a little lead note that something hits. And it like, for me, it's like huge guitar stacks and like, you know, emotional chords and like a scream or a note that's sung. I don't know. There's something that just like makes me escape.
The scream into the drop on that song is fucking
crazy.
Crazy.
So good. Yeah, it's so good. And like the chorus in general of Shivering, in my opinion, it's just like so fat and so huge. You know, you don't have, even without her vocal, I was like vibing on that song. You know, I was like the emotion of those chords and everything, it was really hitting. And then her vocal hitting whatever it is, it just like grabs you. I don't know. There's some songs that don't hit, and it's like, that's, you know, it doesn't have whatever I'm searching for. So it's like Happy Accidents too.
Where do you go though to like create a piece of production from nothing? Like I'm just like confused.
Making
like
a lot of crap and then finding it's Happy Accidents.
Do you just keep going and like just go to wherever, like whatever pops into your mind first, you just ride with it? Or
no, I mean, I feel like it's a good balance of like knowing what you like and also having a people that you can bounce stuff off of. You know, in my opinion, I think some producers want to do everything themselves, write all the lyrics themselves, sing it themselves. It's like, that's them, you know? I'm more of a person that I'll work on something for like 2-3 hours. I'll start getting into it, and then I'll send it to like a crew of 2 or 3 people and be like, is this dope? And if one of them says, meh, you know, I'll just trash it. You know, I don't try to force it. And
really?
That's, I think, for me, it's one thing that like, I have trust in a few people that I really, just think like, if it's not there, you know, don't waste the time. Don't try to push something too hard. I think a lot of producers can kind of you waste so much time.
If rock music or alternative rock, or what would you call some of these records? Like,
oh God,
I mean, like with Avril, is it alternative?
Oh, that's a rock. I mean, I'd call that a rock song.
Yeah,
or a pop punk song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the right way to describe it. if
That's an easy one though, because I mean, I feel like what is the Nothing Ever After or Spirit Box one? I mean, the Spirit Box one has more electronic.
But do you feel like
dubstep too in that? There's like
That's dubstep,
rock,
yeah.
screamo. There's like a little bit of everything in that one.
Yeah, that's why I like this album, and I also am kind of scared because it's like I feel like in today's world, pushing stuff to DSPs and stuff like that, it's just like hopefully. This doesn't just get left behind, you know. Hopefully people see like it's crossing genres and it can go in multiple things versus nothing. You know what I mean?
Do you feel like you need to box anything in?
I mean, I don't. I just do what I love, you know. But yes and no.
If pop punk or rock is what you love, why didn't it come earlier on in your career? Even though there are like hints of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody evolves. You know, I think. In 2015, I was obsessed with, you know, more electronic sounding stuff, more melodic dubstep. It was like that was what was new and interesting sounding, and there was so much intricacy in a lot of the you know the songs I obsessed over, like Seven Lions or Porter. All this, there was a bunch of stuff that I was like, how did they do that? How? And I think as a like up and coming producer, I was just curious on how they did that, and I'd try to figure it out in my own songs, you know. And it turned out, you know, putting all that stuff together, all those influences kind of created what Illenium was at that time. You know, that's kind of how it always works. And then after a while, you kind of figure that out, and stuff stops hitting as hard, and you just like want to just find whatever is the next, you know, what lets you musically helps you escape and stuff like that. And so I think over the past 2.5 years, that's been going back to the stuff that I used to love back when I was like younger and had those like really deep impressions on me that like last forever.
I think it's really interesting because like you're unlike a lot of the DJs that we've had on the show, and I think there are a couple exceptions, but your guide or your barometer is based personally on where you want to go. Whereas I can make the case that like, you know, somebody like Tiesto, and he's told us on the show before, he makes decisions where he thinks culture is going.
100%.
Right?
I
Like,
love Tice too. I just had dinner with him, and he's a genius with that.
Dude, but David's the same way. David
Yeah,
Guetta's
I know.
exactly in that same lane.
I can't do it. I don't know. I just don't have that same. I mean, it's like, yeah, it's so interesting to think about that difference because I don't have that mentally. I just am like, I need that personal, because that's at the end of the day why I started making music, was because it helped me get through my own shit and helped me kind of figure out myself and have self-confidence and stuff like that. And so at the end of the day, what is going to hit me the hardest and also be interesting to, I know, like the community that follows me now, which is amazing, but it's crazy.
Does that like even seep into the creation process at all?
Yeah, I try. Yes, it does. Like I mean, you want to please everybody. Obviously, I'm like a big people pleaser, which is like awful mentally, but
but like I feel like a lot of you kind of have to be a little bit for an art to be an artist, no?
For sure. But too much, and you're just like screwed in today's world.
Well, yeah, and then you're lost and you don't even know who you are.
For sure.
And then what do people actually like? Is it you or what you think people?
And also the negativity hits you way harder if you're too much of a people pleaser. So I try to find a balance, but I mean, that's why I think this album has so much of the ups and downs and kind of crazy aspects. Is like, if I'm making a song and there's a potential to go one direction and I know everyone's going to love it, and it generally I enjoy it too, but it's easy to go that route, you know, without overthinking it too hard because it's just natural. If that makes sense.
Of course. But there are like Reddit threads that are dedicated to like people just talking about
the worst.
Old Illenium.
Yeah, I know. But it's just so boring if you just keep doing the same crap.
Yeah.
It's so boring.
Do you remember the moment you're like, I'm bored of this? Like, let's say the Trilogy. Do you remember the moment you're like, I'm kind of bored of this?
Well, it's weird because I feel like I love that sound and I love that music, but it's just it's not. You can't make the same song over and over and over and over and over for the rest of your life, in my opinion. Like, I would lose my shit. I'd lose my mind. I just can't. But it's no, I don't really know if there was an exact time.
Yeah.
And it's weird because I still feel like I can dabble in, you know, I can like put my foot in it, but I just can't make a full album of it. I think it's like the story lived there and like that was cool. And now I want to, you know, try something new.
Is that the downside of making music that is so deeply personal and relatable to the person on the other side of the speaker?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think music just evolves naturally. I don't. That's a good question. I didn't think of it like that. I just kind of did what was natural.
Like, people only care because it affects them personally.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, they're not like speaking out because they don't care.
Yeah, no, people have hardcore attachments to
I'm
this
like,
stuff.
yeah, Pat, like,
Yeah.
you release it at a certain point, and then it's up to everybody else to take it and make it their own.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's how I feel like good music is. Like, you can have your story for it, and then people put whatever they're going through. And that's also the thing. I think a lot of people that get attached to a certain thing, it's a huge impact of what they're going through in that time. You know, if people are going through struggles and finding themselves at the same time that they're obsessed with a song or something like that, that's just going to have a lifelong effect, you know, and that's nothing I have control over. But yeah, I mean, I have those songs. I have songs that I go back to and I get like transport, like a portal back to what emotion I was in when I first heard it. It's so sick.
And a part of you, like, same with me. I mean, that again, that is art. But like every time I hear a song from that same artist, I am looking for something that originally brought me to them to begin with. You know?
For sure. I know. There's a balance, I think. I think completely abandoning is potentially harmful, but I think there's a middle ground, obviously, and that's kind of what I'm trying to search for. And I feel like I found, for the most part, I feel like I deviated from it on a couple songs, but I think overall it's about just finding a balance and something new.
How do you decide who you work with and who's worthy, essentially, of
Who's worthy?
lending their voice or lending their writing to a record? I mean, it's God's truth, because I can make the case that if an artist does a song with you, it will most likely end up being one of their most streamed songs.
I mean, what's cool is I feel like I'm lucky to have a fan base that really cares about the people that I'm working with. Like, they really love finding new artists. And if they find an artist that they love, they'll be hardcore fans of them. They're like, you know, just really genuine and really looking for emotional music that helps them through whatever they're going through, and that's really dope. In terms of finding people, I think, you know, sometimes I work with a lot of the similar people since pretty much like Awake and Ascend. I feel like I found a lot of people that I love working with, and that I have someone that is amazing at guitar, you know, and like I can get by with guitar, but who knows what I love, and like I'll go in the studio and we'll just make sick guitar riffs and make you know, little intro beats and stuff like that, or do sessions from scratch, and then I also have my friend Trevor, Said the Sky, who I've never not shown a song. Like, every song I've ever made, he's had an input on, you know, just like for me, he sends me songs and we have input. So I think that is just because I learned to trust their opinions and everything like that. I think, you know, I don't try a bunch of new people because I don't really know their opinions that well. I feel like I want to really be able to dissect the whole, like, who I'm sharing something with, like, what do they bring, you know?
So you'll set up like the same core people, but then have different vocalists come in, and are those like Teddy Swims or Max or Nina Nesbitt or Jake? Or, I mean, there's so many. Sometimes
sometimes I'm in the session with these people writing the song, and then sometimes it'll be like a demo sent to me that's just a top line. I'll make the instrumental, and then I'll have a new person cut it, or I'll just have like the Teddy Swim song. That was way slowed down, and I think the original BPM was like 145 or 150, and I brought it up to like 170, and I just put all new instrumental over it. So that one was like, I mean, his voice is insane. It's so good. It was like so easy to fill the space with that. It was so fun. But yeah, I mean, I just kind of, it's the same like feeling. I'm just, if I'm listening to a demo, I really want very minimal, and I want to just envision what I can add or how I can make it better or maybe restructure it. And I want that emotional kind of punch.
Are there any similarities between working on a demo and working on a remix of a song?
Oh, hugely. I think like that's how I learned to produce, was getting acapellas off YouTube and just like trying to make new chord progressions and trying to make my own version of that song. And I think that's kind of where my like basis of musical understanding happens. So if you find a perfect demo, it's kind of just finding like perfect remix, you know. Very similar.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah.
How'd the remix with Taylor Swift come about?
That was crazy. You know, I feel like that reminded me of back in the days because I got stems. I made it in like 2 nights and we put it out the next day. It was crazy. It was like the fastest because normally you're like, oh, I have to sit on this. They don't want to release it. And when they heard it, they were just like, sick. It's coming out tomorrow. And I was like, okay, here we go. Let's do it.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. I was like, I'm not going to say, wait, you know, do you, Taylor Swift.
But I mean, in this, like, especially Anti-Hero, which was like the first song that kind of stood out on the album, do they say like, hey, this is what we're looking for? Or they just say,
no,
do Illenium.
Yep, whatever. They said do whatever.
Damn.
It was super, it flowed super fast. I knew I wanted to do something more in my like, you know, older sound, and I feel like it just flowed really easily.
Do you set up that song the same way you kind of do Drown? Because, I mean, you sample Bring Me the Horizon on that one.
Drown kind of happened. I made that first little like drum section that was like 20 seconds long, and I made it in the back of a car driving up to Steamboat, like just going to ski, and was vibing, and I sat on that for like probably 4 months, and I didn't really know where to take it. I was like, maybe this is just going to be one of those ideas that, you know, it comes and goes. But then I was messing with that Drown acapella, and I did like some reversing and some splicing over those chords, and that like the chorus part happened, and I was like, this is actually totally a vibe that like flows with the intro, and a very different type of song. But no, I would say the good thing about remixes is generally, unless you're totally messing the structure up, it's already a structured song. With the sample, you have a lot more leeway to go wherever you want.
Got it.
So you kind of make your own, like, what's the verse, what's the highlight, what's the drop going to sound like, or like the vibey part.
Yeah. Are most of these songs like that you're remixing given to you, or do you ever go to them and say, I want to do this?
Back in the day, it was always like reach out, you know, it was like 2014, 15. It was like listen to songs on Hype Machine, find one that like sounds that I love, you know. I'd be like, oh, this is sick, and it's empty and ready to go. I'd try to reach out to that artist and be like, you down? And then you just put it out on SoundCloud whenever. Sorry, I need to turn this off.
No, it's okay.
Do not disturb. I love that button.
Yeah, my whole life is do not disturb. I try to hit pause on life. It just doesn't usually work.
I know.
Where did jerseys come from?
Yeah, that's a good question. They kind of just random the first one, and so I played a Red Rocks show in what year was that? 2015 or 16, and it was called Rowdy Town. It was Big Gigantic's Red Rocks show.
Sick. And
they made everybody a jersey who opened for them that year. And so I had one that said Illenium, and I took a picture. It was just in the back because it had a Rowdy Town logo, I think, on the front, and it got like a bunch of love on social media. So then I was like, I'm gonna make my own, and then I just started wearing them because I like not having to like worry about what I wear. Yep. You know, it's just like throw the same crap on every time.
Easy.
And I think that it was just right timing. It was a simple, and it looked cool, and then it became like EDM rave wear. It's just sweet.
You sell them.
Yeah, sell a lot of them. Crazy. Yeah. It's fun now because we get into like a bunch of really creative designs. The new one for like, we do one pretty much every album cycle, and then some fan favorite ones and stuff like that. It's cool. Some festival exclusives, like we're playing Electric Forest this year, and that's one of my favorite festivals. So we'll do like a limited just Sick. Electric Forest one. Yeah, that's cool.
And they matter to people.
Oh, they have. Yeah, they're like, yeah, there's some serious collections out there. Crazy.
Is there pressure knowing that you make things that matter the most to people?
Yeah, I mean, with that comes a lot of like heavy opinions, and it's like sometimes if you want to like step out of the box and do something different, or like try to mess with it, and it's like everyone is like, go back to how it was, and you know, that's constant though.
But that's what I want to ask, because you're now selling out football stadiums, which is insane.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And you talk about the community. Like, do you think about, okay, this new album is different. How is this going to fit into the live show, and what's bringing people to these football stadiums anyway?
Yeah, I mean, that's where with the show, I feel like I'm so stoked at where it's at, because it still has, I did so many edits and stuff. It is, I feel like, still very Illenium, people that only know my new stuff, if they come to the new show, they're going to be like, wait, this is, I mean, it's different in the terms of like, it has a lot more rock and stuff like that. But I feel like I revisited so many of my older songs and made new edits and stuff like that. And I put so many hours into it. And I feel like the music at the show is just like going to make it so much more impactful and fan friendly, I think.
What's the difference between Nick and Illenium?
Big difference, probably. Honestly, I mean, I feel like, I mean, with the way of like social media and stuff right now, I feel like I have to like be, you know, safe as Illenium. You have to be like kind of safe in the world ish.
But what is safe?
I don't know. Like there's so much fear with like messing with the
brand.
Yeah, not even the brand, but like
getting canceled.
Yeah, something like that. And I don't know. I like have anxiety about it and stuff. It's just like I don't want to mess anything up. I'm just trying to do me and live my life and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just kind of a weird fear that I have.
Does that fear creep into you speaking out on things, or at least, well, maybe choosing to speak through music as opposed to having conversations on topics?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, talking to my fans, I feel like there's no difference between Illenium and Nick. Like, I am genuine and I care about them and they care about me and I care about their experience with the music and everything like that. I think there's no difference. But just in terms of the broader, you know, like, I just feel like I have to, you know, you just have to tread carefully in all aspects of being a public figure. You know what I mean?
But there is something to talking about your sobriety publicly, which you're doing, and I appreciate you.
Yeah, I'm totally down. That's why I kind of have like things that I pick and am passionate about, like this new thing I'm partnering with End Overdose, which is awesome. I'm doing this live thing where you pretty much figure out it's detecting an overdose and also how to use I call it Narcan. I forget the.
Oh, it's Narcan. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Narcan, and it's free. And I want everyone at any show I play at to have Narcan. You know, like there's like legal issues with having test strips and stuff like that, which is stupid. But I would love for the scene to change where it's totally legal for everyone to use test strips to use Narcan. I mean, I'm sober. I don't use it, but it's like
people do,
and it's awesome. People have amazing experiences, and I think you know, it's just challenging that because you know, as a promoter or as, you know, AG or Live Nation or whoever owns these venues, there's liability issues if you supply test strips, and I think that's messed up. You know, I think that's just like a law that should not be there.
Why are there liabilities for supplying test strips? Wouldn't that keep people
technically
safe?
You're if someone wanted to sue you, or if I mean, it's just a messed up situation, but if someone wanted to sue you, or if there were criminal possibilities, then you could sue. Like, that's the landowner knowingly letting drugs be done on there.
Got it.
Yeah, which you can't do, but you can supply Narcan.
Narcan you can, but not test strips. Get tricky.
Because test strips, you're knowingly saying, "Oh, we see you doing it." Yeah,
but like, why? It's so frustrating.
It's like you're 100% correct. And by the way, I think it's like such a large conversation that needs to be had very actively, because the conversation you're holding right now is fentanyl tearing apart
totally
so many families and friend groups and communities.
Tricky in terms of my personal views are very, very passionate about this stuff. And in terms of when it becomes Illenium standing for this stuff, I feel like the passion can be, it becomes taking a team. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I don't like there being a team. I just I'm passionate about it. So it becomes tricky when it becomes a thing that Illenium is standing for, and then it's like, okay, now he's on this side, and it's, I don't know.
But when the reality is like you stand on the side of like your fans and your people and safety and having connection with the art.
Yeah, that is. But online people can take that wherever. You know, it's just scary.
But there is like and I do hope that like people have it, and there's like a larger discussion here on like what drugs mean in society, because there is something to like, yes, like I wish we didn't have a bunch of societal and systemic problems that led to addiction and drug abuse,
for sure,
a bunch of stuff. But people choose to use drugs, and people are dying because those drugs are laced with things that are
not what they're signing up for.
100%. And ravaging communities and families, tearing them apart.
Totally.
I don't know. I've lost friends to fentanyl.
Yeah.
It is horrific.
I've lost so many friends. Yeah.
Like gives me, but by looking at it like that, you're kind of accepting that people are doing drugs, right?
Yeah.
Which I think we should accept.
100%.
And that's why a larger conversation about like making drugs maybe even legal, right? So
yeah,
then
it's so tricky going down
big.
the larger path like that. I mean, I think if every single drug user understood and knew how to use Narcan and got it for free at every time they walked into a venue, boom, lives saved.
Done.
Sick. But in terms of the larger discussion, it's really challenging because you do see some places that implement complete, crime-free areas, and then it just becomes such a sad sight. It's like crazy. And so
but then you look at countries that legalize all drugs, and they're actually done in a way that is
totally
up to medical grade,
Yeah.
and you're not risking your life every time you choose to use it.
I just don't know if it would work in our country.
No, you're 100% right.
I just don't think it would. I just don't. I think stuff's too fucked up.
You're correct. and by the way, we're very far gone on a path that, like, you could also make the case that, like, if we legalized cannabis early on, you wouldn't have had the opioid crisis that we have today. There's a bunch of, like, it's really sad.
I don't know if I agree with that. I would, like, just as a past drug
of
addict,
course.
I was going to go for whatever's the craziest shit for sure.
You're very open about your path to sobriety, which is incredible because reading your story, you come from it's just a different path, right? Like,
sure.
Your origin of where you've come from and how music has helped you, but also the family that raised you.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't look at it like that. What, you know what I mean? Like, people have in their head one thing.
Yeah, totally.
When they have what they think a drug addict is, when the reality it isn't. And
no, especially now, pretty much the past 15 years, very normal people become junkies, hardcore.
And it needs to be discussed because that's the only way we fix it.
Yeah, and it's not, and it shouldn't be like, I feel like the wording from, like the 70s through 2000s of like drug addict or junkie or heroin or these like heavy words where it's only put on this very like bottom class of people. I just feel like that has, I feel like there's a normalization that has slowly been happening, at least in my world, where like, my family went from, the first time they heard that I did heroin, they were like, what the fuck? That's the worst of the worst. Like, only these type of people do that. And then as it progresses, you're like, okay, there's actually a shit ton of kids that are transitioning into that. And they're all over the country, and it's like very it shouldn't be normal as in like, oh yeah, he's just doing heroin on the weekends, like nobody fucking does that, but in terms of of it being addiction is a disease and everybody can get through it with the proper will of themselves, and for me, I had to go through a bunch of shit, but I think the taking an honest approach on it and meeting it with love instead of meeting it with you're a degenerate, get your life under control, what the fuck, I think that's just setting everyone up to OD one day.
That is well said and 100% accurate.
Yeah.
Do you look at that time, like, could you be here right now, even making the music you make today, if you didn't? No
fucking shot.
Right?
No way. Yeah.
It made you into who you are.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's weird to even compare because I feel like I was a bit of a different person then. I didn't have a sense of myself. I didn't know at all who I was. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had these like vague ideas of what is cool and successful but I had no dreams of anything. And especially in like the full addict time, it was like, I don't care about any of it. I just worry about like 20 minutes from now, that's all that I care. And time goes by so slow in that mind state. It's so crazy. Like a year will fly by, what being like who I am now. And then like a year back then feels like 10 years. It's crazy. It's
That's
so
scary.
Weird. Yeah. It was like a terrible loop to be stuck in. But yeah, I mean, I think, finding a passion is had changed me like incredibly. I think it's like some higher power shit for sure. I'm not like a religious person, but I very much believe in a higher power and believe in that having an impact and saving my life for sure. Because I was pretty helpless in my opinion. Like I couldn't do shit to fix it. I went to 8 rehabs, you know, it was like, there was not, you know, and then finally when the last time I used, I was just like, I am going to fucking die. And I didn't really care. And it was just like, okay, like somebody help me out. Like I can't do this shit. So
Who did?
I mean, I think there was you know, I'm not a big preacher on like, but 12 steps helped me a lot creating my, you know, what I needed as a foundation of like, of being a human, you know, I think that helped a lot. Being really honest. I used to not be an honest person. And now I'm just like, honesty is number one, 100%. And then music, you know, that was what like gave me peace listening to it at first, like writing for blogs and finding new music and finding, you know, what, you know, would heal me slowly, like kind of piece by piece. I feel like that was really impactful. Going to shows, you know, finding a community of people that were honest and passionate about music too. I feel like that was massive. And so it was just like piece by piece. And then it became making my own music, and then my fans, you know, like having my first fan, I'm like, what the fuck? Like that I am. And then the first time someone told me my music helped them through the same shit. I mean, it was just like, that was the best motivation of all time. You know,
you can really sit here and say that like music was,
massively. Yeah.
I mean, the fuel.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's not only like,
and like people say that all the time.
No,
and they're
yeah.
like what, like blowing smoke.
It
like
1000% saved my where I was at for sure.
How long after you got clean did you write? Was it Take You Down? That's one, right?
Yeah. So I got sober in 2012. Take You Down was the first time I became open about it, because I was
it took a while, 6 years.
Yeah, I was like kind of nervous to be open about it, because I knew, you know, a lot of my you know, I don't want to be the preachy guy, you know. I like, it's not, this is my story, but I also feel like there's a lot of, I have past experience with drugs that weren't all negative, and I don't think they're like, ban them, everybody needs to be sober, you're fucking, like, I totally believe people need to experiment, people need to find.
You're pushing Narcan, you're cool as shit.
Yeah.
You can have.
Yeah. But it's like, do you, I'm not gonna preach, you know, and that's why I was kind of wanted to hold off. But at a certain point, the just like the fan interactions were so, I feel like I had to hold back so much, and I wanted to be more honest with like the people that told me how much the music was helping them. It was just like weird. I wasn't open about my addiction, but I heard so much feedback about people getting through addiction because of my music, or getting through depression or something like that. And so I was like, I feel like I'm just like cheating these people, because I'm not being honest with them, but they're being honest with me. So
but you are being honest through the music.
Through the music, yeah. But I feel like there's a reality that I think people, I feel like knowing exactly the details, I feel like, are very helpful for people in it. You know,
Totally.
Same with me when I was.
What gives them hope?
Yeah, totally. You know, when I was sitting, like, you know, 20 days clean, and I heard this guy talk about how rough his life was, and then how successful and happy, and like, I was just like, wait, like, what? Really? Come on, no way. Like, and then I got some of the details. I was like, holy shit, that's amazing, you know. And like,
it's possible.
The more honest I feel like you are, the more hope you bring, in my opinion.
Do you remember the moment where you decided to like open up, even though you could?
Well,
I'm sure you can listen
also
to the
was
music.
so personal.
Yeah, that was it, right?
Yeah, I think the lyrics were just a direct. That was the first time I truly wrote about it. You know, everything, all my music in the end of like, I can metaphor to something about that. You know, I can like tie it with it. But that song was like, this is a story about the like one particular night, and it was, you know, it was just like really impactful.
Because I'm sure you can listen back to your music that you made while you were piecing yourself together and hear that in some way, shape, or form.
For sure.
But how long do you sit on that song even before you choose to share it?
Oh, I had that song for a year. Or I think it was a year. Yeah, I think it was about a year, 8 months or something like that. Yeah, it was. I mean, I wrote that song with Rock Mafia, Tim and Antonina, and it was actually on my birthday. I had flown. It was the first. I think it was one of the first in-person sessions I had done, and like in my career, like writing. And I was just talking with them, and they were so just curious about my past. And I had talked to them about this one night that was just fucking. I look back at that night, and I'm just like, that was a sick person, you know, like I was sick. I was helpless, you know, in that moment. And I talked to him, and that was, we wrote a song about it. That was so cool. Like, I was like, this hits way fucking harder, you know? And, yeah, it was amazing.
What is it like to hear that back?
Dude, that song still fucks me up for sure. I can't play it every night. It's like too much, honestly. Yeah. It's like, I'll play it at some of my bigger shows, and when it first came out, I was playing it a lot, and it, you know, every song you play, eventually you get a little desensitized to it, but then I took a break from playing it, and now when I play it again, it still fucks me up, yeah.
Was there a defining moment that you were like, okay, I need to share? Like, there was this...
I think it was kind of, I had released 2 albums, and I feel like I was getting to a point where, like, all the shows were amazing, and the fan connection was like getting to a high, and I was just like, I think it felt right, especially having that song and being so personal and loving it so much. I was like, people need to know what this is about, and people need to know like what I stand for. And I was just kind of feeling like I was just kind of half-assing my personality in terms of like, what is Illenium, what am I? You know, I just need to be honest.
When you share that song and you write a letter that goes with it,
yeah.
Is it freeing afterwards? How does it feel?
For sure. I mean, overall, there's still messed up people that, like, you know, will fuck with you about it. But in overall, the reaction was just unifying in a sense of like me, my fans, my family, the people that I went through it with or that I came out of it with. It's just like, it's all honest now. It's all real. Like, it's not, there's no, you know, fear of it being not authentic, you know.
Your mom was the most important part of that journey for you, right?
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my whole family was, but that song and that, you know, that night was like just really impactful. Some fucking angel shit. Crazy.
It's really like these conversations need to be had, because if they're not had, then a stigma continues around them, and people realize that, you know, there may not be hope, when the reality is there's so many solutions and answers, and a much, 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 much brighter light at the end of a really shit dark tunnel.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
What are you thinking?
Completely different topic. How did it
Switch it up.
How did it feel when Urban Outfitters leaked your track list?
Oh my God. At first I was like, are you fucking serious? It was, and
Out
then,
of all people?
and then I tweeted, and then they told me to take it down. I was like, what?
Wait, me?
Hold on.
You take it down.
Yeah, I was like, you take it down. And I was like, at least respond with some funniness, or like, it just whatever. I'm over it. You know, it's fine. But yeah, it was funny. We had to, we had some cool stuff planned with like some of the features, like announcing that they're on. We had, and then that all went to shit. So it was all right.
Really cool. Thanks, Urban Outfitters. Are you planning on making it up to him?
Yeah.
Or to us out of emotional distress now?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
It's all good.
Is it good
It's
though?
forgotten.
No, it's not.
No.
When's your birthday?
December 26th.
Oh my God, that's right. You're right after Christmas. That sucks.
Yeah, it does suck, dude.
You have to share your day with Jesus.
Yeah, some bullshit.
Damn.
I've been getting like half Christmas, half birthday presents my whole life.
Yeah, forever.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe
I'm such a spoiled brat, though. Listen to that. I've only been getting half my presents.
I mean, now you can buy yourself anything. What's the most expensive thing you've purchased?
I mean, do houses count?
I guess. Really expensive?
Yeah, houses, LA house.
Nice.
I have this warehouse in Denver that I've been dumping money into, building studios and stuff, which is freaking sweet, but
Sick.
you know, it's a money pit.
Yeah, who the fuck's going to Denver?
Well, it's actually sick. I want to, because after this album comes out, I want to like get more involved with my label and have, you know, be more focused in bringing people up, and I want to have a space to like if I find a sick artist or we want to start working with someone, they can just
Go
like
there.
live in Denver and work at the studio permanently.
And you've always like I'm pretty sure you made a case for Denver for a while. Like it's not New York, it's not LA, it's not San Francisco.
Dude, so many people have moved there in the electronic scene. It's like a
Isn't
hub. Huge.
Tiesto's there?
Tiesto's there. We're like neighbors. We have Dabin, Will Black, Blank, a bunch of people. Yeah, Set the Sky. They all live like 4 minutes away from me. Yeah, it's easy.
How special is it going to be when you play Mile High?
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm so glad because a tour is crazy and then it stops for that whole week, which is amazing because I can just like enjoy it, have family out, you know, chill out at home. It's really nice.
So you got to perform for like 5 hours straight? Is it 4 or 5 hours?
I don't know. Yeah. 4 and a half, 4. I don't know. I'm still figuring out set times, but it's pretty much like DJ set, live set.
Holy shit.
Damn.
Yeah. Kind of opening for myself. It's fun. It's actually a really fun format. It's like, talk about like drug high. Because I did the same format in Las Vegas, and just being able to do, you really get to eat it up because an hour and a half goes by so fast. But in a football stadium, for one, being able to do one set and then like taking 5 minutes and be like, holy shit, this is crazy, and I get to keep doing it. It's almost like it's the closest I could come to like attending my own show. You know, it's like it's awesome.
Is there something you've replaced? And I ask this out of respect. Like, is there something that replaced like what you were addicted to?
Oh, for sure. A ton of stuff.
Like what?
I mean, 5-hour
shows.
I mean, that high is crazy, but it's like nuts for sure. I feel like it's been multiple things. I think making music and putting it out and seeing the reaction. That was the first kind of thing. It was like that addicting serotonin. People love this. People like start seeing your name more, and it's like, you know, the come up is a huge serotonin rush. And then as you start having these goals, and then those goals becoming reality and hitting each one year by year, you know, at first it's like, I want to do a Red Rocks in the next year, or like in the next 5 years. The first goal I had was in like 2014 was in 10 years, I want to sell out Red Rocks. And it was like a year and a half later, we did it was crazy. So that was like the first one. And then the whole like one day to do a football stadium, and that was always like, yeah, fucking right. Like, god damn, that's just stupid. And then that becoming a thing is, you know, that's a rush. You know, that's a crazy rush. And being so scared to put it on sale because I'm like, I just feel like everyone hates me. I don't know why. It makes no sense, but nobody's gonna buy tickets. I'd have dreams before that last stadium show, and I was like, nobody showed up. I'd play in front of like 10 people in an empty football stadium in my dreams. It was awful.
I mean, I'd rather like have somebody on our couch that approaches it that way than like, oh, I'm gonna sell this fucking shit out and do 20 minutes flat. Watch me.
No. I think that's like prevalent everywhere. People are like, yeah, I don't know.
Do people have to convince you that you can do this?
No, I think it's about having high goals, reasonable expectations, or like low reasonable expectations. I think, you know, it's like I've always had the goal of doing football stadiums. That's great, but at the same time, it's like, what is a reasonable expectation for myself 5 years ago? No. Now today, it's like, okay, we can do 1 to 2 a year, maybe. You know, it's crazy.
2 questions off that. Yeah. One, what is it like when you're on that platform and you're in the air raised above 60,000 people and you're just like looking around?
The worst. On that platform in the middle?
Yeah.
So terrifying.
Really?
Well, one, it was the most wobbly goddamn thing ever. So like trying to get my balance and stuff. It was yeah, and then you're DJing, like trying to DJ in the center of a stadium. It's with all the delays everywhere, all the sound delay. I mean, you're mentally like so screwed up.
But you're feeding it in your ears, right?
Correct. So you have the correct timing in your ears, but you take your ears off.
Oh, it's a mess.
And and you are like,
and then you're wobbling on a platform at the same time.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Oh, and it's interesting, really,
but
because
it was fun looking back at it, but in the moment, no, not cool.
It's not your voice. You're like you're hearing other tracks. Like it's
no. So whatever. So you have your, you know, when you're DJing, you have your master, and then so if you're just trying to mix with your ears off, right, and you press play on the second track or the third track, and you're going off of the stadium sound, you're going to be way off. So you have to put your ears on. What I did was it was confusing. I had an in-ear monitor, and then I had my headphones, and so I'd have like, this is what's playing to the crowd, and this is what I'm queuing up.
I get that. Holy shit.
Ugh. I got to do it again too. It's it's like mentally weird as hell.
It's a lot of pressure too.
Yeah. It's all, I mean, the good thing is the set, that first set was like fairly simple mix wise. It's just like, I feel like when I was making music in like 2015, it was just slow builds, and you know, it's not like crazy technical mixes or anything like that. It's just kind of in the empty spaces you fill through. You bring like an acapella in over one little section. It's not that hard.
By the way, you got to listen to Illenium. That's the most recent album. We're going to put a link in the description below. Plus, all of Illenium's music is on Amazon Music. You have 2 songs on this album with 2 of my favorite people. Skylar Grey.
So epic.
She's one of the greatest songwriters of all time.
100%. The demo of Love the Way You Lie is like the best song ever. Yeah.
She's easily the only person to write for Dr. Dre, Eminem, and Celine Dion.
Yeah.
And that's not a fucking joke, okay?
Yeah, she's fire.
She's one of the kindest, nicest people
Such a cool human.
ever.
Yeah.
Like, she's the greatest person. I miss you very much. Hi, Skylar Grey. And like so kind.
Yeah, she's awesome.
How does that record come to be? Does she send you something? Do you actually get in the studio together?
We were on a Zoom.
Yeah, you didn't go to Napa?
No, I didn't go to Napa. We were on a Zoom. It was
the house is sick.
There were three of us in Denver at my studio, and then Skylar was on with Zoom, and then we just had like this like small guitar riff that I had written, and then we like pitched it way down, five semitones or something like that, and then yeah, that chorus was just like, I was addicted to that. We wrote it, and the random thing is like bringing in the word matches was so weird. I was like, light your like, where is that gonna go? It was a cool click, and then and I will rise from the ashes. It was like, what? Whoa! It was like, I don't know.
Yeah,
that was that dope moment for sure.
Do you like creating over Zoom like that, or is it
no? I love being in person, but that one was sick. She was easy to work with though. Yeah. Like it's definitely challenging though.
And she's used to working that way.
Yeah.
And she doesn't leave Napa ever. Or no, she does a couple times a year.
It's good. She's happy, you know.
Fucking
vibe out.
She's like, it makes me like want to, like I get nauseous thinking about it.
Yeah.
She's really good. Yeah, like she's exceptionally talented.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like you know her, but like you may even not know her. Can we include a Skylar Grey link to her Amazon Music page?
I mean, I've been listening to Skylar forever.
I mean, yeah, if you have ears and
even earlier than Skylar, before it was Skylar.
Oh.
With Holly Brook.
Look at you, the folk era.
Where'd you go, dude?
Dude,
the Four Minor song.
Let's
I love
go.
That song.
And again, like she's a folk writer that turned into one of the greatest hip hop fucking.
I'm a mega
hook
fan,
writers.
Dude.
She helped create rap with hooks. Like it's like like it makes me sweat, dude.
So good.
And then you have Jaden Hostler.
Yes, so sick. That was the first song we wrote for this album, actually.
Really?
Yeah, we that was the first session I had with Travis too. I went over and he just had that. He had the bridge and then just the vocal part of the bridge, and then we had like a rough chorus, just the melody, and then we just like jammed out and made new chords for it, brought a whole new production in, and made like a full rock song. It was sick. It was so fun.
How does the writing of that record go?
So we pretty much what they had was they had it over a totally different track. It was like not rock really, and they just had that first. They had like the first part of the song where it's just the filtered out Lifeline chorus. They didn't have like a full chorus. They just had that little like melody, and I really liked it. So we pretty much jammed out and made this like really anthemic. I was like, I want this to be huge. I want it to be like really small and then just blow up out of nowhere. And then we were just like jamming, and Travis was doing his thing, and we just kind of followed his lead for a second, and then it went into the bridge, which was just like, and then we came back in and recut verses and choruses and stuff.
With that song being the first you made for the album, do you end up taking anything sonically that you apply?
Hugely, yeah. I think that was like, so after probably 2 days of sessions, we had a decent sounding rock song, I think, that was like none of my, I had played guitar and stuff, but it was just all the rock pretty much bones. And then I took the stems home, and I feel like that's the first time I got to mess with, kind of totally changing drums and changing and bringing synths in and making it more like in the middle, somewhere like that. And I feel like I found a really healthy medium on that song, especially. I feel like it definitely lives in both worlds, and it just like it has that like anthem emo rock like just smack to it that I feel like is so satisfying. You hear the guitars really clearly, and it's still I don't know.
No, it hits, but it has so much emotion and heart.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
great.
Yeah,
And Jaden sounds fucking amazing.
and I love where it goes. You know, it has like a first like just instrumental part, and then it has a drop chorus, and then it goes into like a full time section. I really like how that song flows.
You got to listen to this album. We're gonna put a link in the description below.
Check it out.
Wild that like it's your 5th body of work that deserves that self-titled,
Yeah,
honor.
I'm just copying Blink-182 to be honest. I'm kidding. No, that is my favorite Blink album though.
I mean,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
I think I'd agree with that.
I love that album.
is the best Illenium music on this album?
I mean, I think so. I think people will have varying opinions though, because I know that some people are so attached to that older stuff that it will not.
But do you want that to change for you? Like
No,
everything
I
you
don't
put-
care. I don't care. This is what I wanted to do right now, and I'm so happy about it.
But today, this is the best Illenium music. But for your
Yes.
next album, do you want to be able to say
I'm
that
taking a
same
break.
thing?
I don't know. I'm taking a break.
Really?
Yeah, I need a break, dude. 5 albums in like 7 years.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I'm going crazy. Yeah, I'm taking a break.
Good.
It's good though. I'm giving like every ounce of energy I have right now for this tour and for this album and stuff. So it's fun.
You also have an album full of a lot of hits, so you should really ride that out for as long as humanly
Yeah.
possible, right? Isn't that a part of the process?
Hey, I never know. You know, it's the same kind of drug addict mentality. It's next thing. So I'm trying to just live in the moment, find some peace, be chill.
But I feel like a part of you may put that energy into other artists.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. Exactly. I need to find that kind of, I love doing it. The energy went from making my album, and now it went to working on this live show, and then the next like year will be just like making that live show as epic as I can at every single stop. And then I want it to be like, okay, who can I help now? I want to help people out. I want to put more of my energy into that for sure.
It's really special.
Yeah, it makes life good. Makes me feel good.
What are you thinking?
Last question I had is, what is bigger challenge, making the perfect intro or the perfect drop?
Ooh, that's tough. I probably have a harder time making the perfect drop for sure.
Really?
I think you go through. I think intros, for me, they're like I guess they're both essential, but in terms of like, if I'm gonna start a song, I always start with the intro. I never really start with the drop, and if I feel like I do it more because you go through all those ideas, right? Like I'll go through maybe 30 intros, and I'll make like 10 actual songs from those. So I only get 10 opportunities to do drops versus 30 opportunities to do intros, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm doing.
Yeah.
But then
Yes.
Starfall, the intro of the album, is that, do you sit down, you're like, okay, I got an album, I need an intro to this album, or does that just come naturally?
No,
like,
that
this
was
fits?
like I sat down at 3 a.m. after I got home, and I was like, I'm just gonna make some chord stuff and mess with I got some new string VSTs, and then I have a friend Davide in Italy who records strings over most of the album actually, yeah, that was just like a vibe out, kind of like, wow, I kind of made this cool 45-second just symphonic thing, and then it sits for a second, and then I was like, what am I? And then I made the pluck things, and I had no idea what to do vocally. And me and my friend Trevor just sat down and started messing with some vocoder stuff, and so we just did it. That was one song we just did it all ourselves. It was fun.
But a lot of this stuff starts just you.
Yeah, that was just me at 3 a.m. made that whole 45-second thing.
It's like a perfect opening for the album.
I love that
It feels
stuff.
like the clouds are opening and you're welcoming us in.
I love that stuff.
Yeah.
It's so fun. Yeah.
How do you do? I mean, this album is. You got to listen. It really it embodies you perfectly. It's pretty sick.
Yeah, that's exactly why I feel like it was perfect self-titled, because it just feels very, even showing the people that I've known for, 10 years, and they listen to this, and it's like, that is so you. That is, and it just, yeah. Just
Isn't that
feels
the greatest compliment?
Yeah, it's sick. It's awesome, and it's it's like a little more tough because it's so me, and then when people have like controversial opinions about it, and then I'm like, well, fuck. Maybe I just suck. Just kidding.
No.
It's okay.
It's just an evolution of you as a human being.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're not chasing trend or setting trend. You're doing what your heart
Honestly,
and mind want.
that part is like kind of funny, because I can see where the trends are going right now, and I'm like not even fucking close to them.
No, I mean, I could have made the case that like alternative pop punk was like a couple years ago.
Yeah, I know, right?
You missed the boat a little bit.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Whatever. Fuck it.
They'll
send
catch
it.
up to you.
Yeah.
They'll figure it out.
It's all cyclical, right? Eventually.
It is, but I also think they're you add a much different energy and sonic tone to those types of records that doesn't exist anywhere else.
Yeah.
So there is something to people tapping into that genre and revitalizing it.
Yeah.
You know, the genre at the end of the day is nothing without the artists that make it up.
Mm-hmm.
So
you never know.
But, you know, I also can go into like a really long like tangent on like pop punk to get like as a whole and how it's died out and radio's killed it. And
yeah,
it's
definitely.
It's really bad, dude.
I know, it's crazy.
You know, like a #1 record at alternative radio only has an audience of 4 million people.
I know, it's crazy.
That's a joke.
I know.
You're absolutely incredible, and I'm a huge fan. I've been for a long time, so to be able to talk to you has been a really, really fucking cool.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Well, appreciate you and appreciate your honesty.
Yeah.
Real quick before you go, and I know I end with the deepest question, but I am very interested.
What's up?
How do you define success and like what is it to you? Because I have a feeling that it's more than just money. Because
yeah, I mean, I think it's always been kind of the middle ground of. I mean, I go back and forth. What is when I look at it, it's like is having the most hits successful, is having the biggest shows and the most fans successful, is making the most money successful, and I don't think I think it's a bit of those, and it's mainly like how much quality of life are you getting out of what you're doing? You know, at the end of the day, it's like how much do I enjoy everyday life doing this, and how much and part of that is like it is enjoyable to be successful, to have gone from nothing and not expecting to ever make money. You know, like 10 years ago, I was like, if I could, I wanted to start a frozen yogurt shop and make like $80K a year. And that was my goal. You know, that was like one of my things. I was like, if I did that, I could live and be chill. And then like, you know, going from the first show, you make $2,000 or like $500 to $2,000. And then you make, and it's, you know, satisfying for me as a person to, have that be a little bit of what, makes me happy. And also, but it has to be paired with what good am I doing? And that's why I feel it like with this end overdose stuff that's where you have to have whatever determines your personal success plus whatever you have to be helping people, in my opinion.
And your music does that.
That too, that's huge. Like how many people can I help with this?
Well, also helping
music?
you.
Yeah. It's a balance. And I think going full into like, I just need to make hits, super unhealthy, super not satisfying for me, I think. But like, if I have a big song and I see that it's helping people and it's doing some other stuff, cool. But I'm not going to force it, just because if you just force it, I find a lot of unhappiness in that world.
Your initial intent isn't for a hit.
Yeah, for sure.
It's to craft something that matters.
100%.
You got to listen to the album. It's called Illenium. He is Illenium. Link in the description below. Listen to all the music.
Check
My name
it
is
out.
On Music. I really appreciate you being
Thank
here.
you,
man.
guys. So nice. Appreciate it. It's awesome.
Thank you. Illenium, everybody.
Peace.